Alright, it's going. It says excellent. Okay. Good morning, it is I, your host, Pogo Kiddo, with yet another episode of Redstone Lapis Lazuli. Good morning, hello, hey, I managed to do it on a Sunday. Let's see. We did it, look at this, how nice. I am using the mod Distant Horizons, which allows me to see vast distances in Minecraft. And then I'm using a shader pack called Bliss, which looks beautiful. And, oh yeah, my frames per second, I should get rid of that. Options, video settings, apply. You cannot see my frames per second because they belie what you guys actually see. So anyways, yeah. And there's a pretty big hit I take when I run OBS at the same time as Minecraft. So it kind of kills the frame rates. I mean, it's still not bad, but yeah, not like when it is doesn't have to carry OBS. Anyways, okay. Yeah, check out this mod. I haven't actually built anything in Minecraft because I'm waiting for the next update, which is gonna be somewhat soon, I guess, soonish. And it's gonna have a new redstone component called the Auto Crafter, which basically makes all my machines incomplete because a lot of the machines I have a manual step where I have to go in and do stuff manually to like finish the product. But with the Auto Crafter, it will do it automatically. It can set it up so all the inputs go in and then take care of all that by itself without me having to deal with it. So I'm looking forward to that. But like in the meantime, I'm just hanging out, right? Yeah, so check it out. Yeah, I really like this mod because it really makes the world feel like a world, whereas before you were like in a box, and even in a box you felt it felt pretty neat, like, but like once you have Distant Horizons, it's like not the same. You can't go back. Everything looks so limiting. Like this is the way it ought to be, right? It ought to be like this. It's just great. It's just great. And of course I wouldn't see it if I were like on the ground. But I'm not on the ground. Ha ha ha. Even if I were on the ground, I could climb a mountain and still see really far. See, like down here you can't tell. You can't see anything. It's only when you get up above it. When I was up above it. Bah, bah. Yeah, if you're up above it, yeah, it looks great. It's amazing. But when you're down in it, you can't see. So yeah, good morning to you all. I have a lot to talk about. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on. Let's dive right into it, right? I mean, you're not here for Minecraft. I mean, you might be, but ta-da! Minecraft looks great, right? Java Minecraft is where it's at. Yeah, dude, a bunch of stuff has been going on. First of all, Donald Trump is finally in a criminal trial. Finally, that criminal is finally in a trial to assess whether or not he's a criminal. I mean, we all know he's a criminal, right? Everyone knows he's a criminal. Sometimes, like, even his followers know he's a criminal, and that's why they follow him. Because they're like, wow, look at this guy. He's able to commit crimes and get away with it. Isn't he so cool? So that's why they follow him, because they want that kind of power too. It's kind of like the Kyle Rittenhouse thing. Like, Kyle Rittenhouse has a bunch of followers, and because they want to do what he did. He managed to murder people and get away with it, and they want that kind of power too. So I assume people who follow Donald Trump know that he's a criminal, and they like it. They want that power too, to ignore the law and do whatever they want. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't think so, because at this point, how can you not know that Donald Trump is a criminal? So the first couple days, the first couple weeks were spent trying to get a jury together, and there was like 500 people that were called up for a jury, and half of those people were left the first day, the first moment, the first question, because the question was, can you be impartial while judging Donald Trump? And half the people said, nope, I cannot be impartial. Whether because they already know him and they already know he's a criminal, or that they're cultists and they want to they don't care he's a criminal. For whatever reason, half the people left, and they were left with 250 more, and they whittled down those 250 to get to their 12. So who are those 12 people? We don't know, right? We don't know who they are. That the whole point is that we don't know, because if we find out who they are, then that puts them in danger. Because Donald Trump, remember, Donald Trump is infamous for threatening witnesses and threatening judges and pretty much threatening everybody. Anybody who tries to hold him to account, Donald Trump will threaten. And he doesn't it's not like he himself is going to go down and do something to you. But Donald Trump has an army of crazy people, of fascists, who will listen to his commands and carry them out for him. So it's not like, so we don't know who exactly are the jurors, but we know a little bit about them, and this chart will let you know. This chart here is a chart that shows you the media consumption patterns of the jurors. Where do they get their information? Because I guess that question was asked, like, where do you get your information? And so we have like a pretty interesting, like, we can kind of guess where they land based on their media consumption habits. So you got your 12 jurors here, and then you have your 6 alternatives. Okay, what's interesting is juror number 2. Juror number 2 is right there. And if you trace down to juror number 2, this person gets their information from Donald Trump's website and from Elon Musk's website. Elon Musk is a fascist, so that's a problem, right? And then Donald Trump, of course, is a criminal fascist. So juror number 2 only gets his information from fascists. So that kind of sucks. That's a bad sign. That's a bad sign. When all you do, and then juror number 4 doesn't read the news at all. So they don't listen to anything about the world going on. So, pretty nice for them, right? Like, imagine you didn't know of any of the bad stuff going on in the world. You would just look at your immediate surroundings. It might be, depending, it might be pretty cool. The world might be perfect for you then. But we're looking at juror number 2, who only gets their information from Donald Trump and from Elon Musk. Donald Trump and Elon Musk are both sources of disinformation. They always spread lies all the time. That's why Elon Musk bought Twitter, because he was tired of lies being debunked. He needed those lies to spread. Remember, Elon Musk is a fascist. He's from South Africa. He made his fortune. His family made his fortune from exploiting the people of South Africa in an emerald mine. And he carries a lot of the old apartheid ideas with him. Just because he left South Africa doesn't mean he left behind the ideas of apartheid. He's very much into apartheid, Elon Musk. So he bought a website in order to spread his fascist ideology. And then, of course, we got Donald Trump, who famously got kicked off of Twitter after he staged his insurrection, because he used Twitter to organize his insurrection on January 21st, January 6th, 2021. So they kicked him off of Twitter, and in response, Donald Trump made his own website. And like it's like losing money. It never made money. It's not really that popular amongst the general population. But it's a platform where he can spread his message, and then journalists will happily copy over his message to every other platform they can. Happily, they will happily do it. It's like they're like Donald Trump stenographers. They just copy his message and spread it around for everyone to read. So like if it was just Donald Trump on his website, Truth Social, no one would know because no one watches it except that one juror guy. But because journalists are dutiful in spreading Donald Trump's message, they copy it word for word and spread it around the internet for him. Like, isn't that nice for Donald Trump? So the problem is that there's one juror who looks like he's a cultist. Because how could you listen to a bunch of lies every day as your only source of information and come out of that okay? You can't, dude. That guy's brainwashed. So, like, maybe if he's not, like, inundated with fascist messages, maybe he'll be able to look at the information presented to him in the trial. But that's not likely. I'm thinking he's going to try to, like, his whole purpose, his whole point of being on that jury is to hang the jury, to create a mistrial. Because if all 12 jurors cannot come to a consensus, to an agreement, it has to be unanimous. It has to be all 12 jurors. So all that guy has to do is say no to anything, and then the jury, then there's a mistrial. So that a mistrial means you have to do it again, but that costs time and money. And remember, the way Donald Trump wins is through delays. So if he can get a mistrial, he can put off the trial until after the election, which is what he wants, right? Because everything's right for Donald Trump. Everything rides on that election. If he wins that election, he can make all the crimes against him go away, or all the court cases against him go away. He can get away with his crimes. But if he loses the election, then he's likely going to prison. So Donald Trump is very, very, very incentivized to not only delay the cases until after the election, but then to overthrow the election so that he can take power. So that's one thing going on. That's something to watch out for, right? In the meantime, Donald Trump was given a gag order saying that he cannot talk about the trial, he can't talk about the judge's family, the jurors, or the witnesses. He can't talk about them. Because what does Donald Trump do? He threatens them. He threatens all those people. He threatens the judge, the judge's family. He threatens the jurors. He threatens the witnesses because, you know, he doesn't want those witnesses to talk against him. So he threatens them. He doesn't want the jurors to hold him accountable. So he threatens them. He doesn't like how the judge is presiding over the court case because it's not a friendly judge. So he threatens them. Like, has Donald Trump ever threatened Judge Eileen Cannon down in Florida? No. Why not? Because Judge Eileen Cannon is on Team Trump. So she does everything he wants. So he doesn't have to threaten her because he does what she does what he wants. But these other judges are not under the control of Donald Trump. So Donald Trump threatens them. So to stop that, they put a gag order on Donald Trump. However, Donald Trump ignores the gag order. He doesn't care, right? Over and over and over again, he's been defying the gag order again and again and again. He threatens witnesses, he threatens jurors, he threatens the judge, he threatens prosecutors, he threatens everybody that's opposed to him. So tomorrow, on Monday, they're going to have a hearing, a special hearing, to see if Donald Trump violated his gag order, and if so, what kind of penalties will apply. So as it is, Donald Trump has gotten away with way more than any regular American would have gotten away with. If it were me or you who had done this stuff, we'd be in jail already. We wouldn't need a special hearing or anything. We'd already be in prison, already be in jail. So Donald Trump has gotten all these concessions just for being Donald Trump. So that kind of sucks. Because how can you have a country based on the rule of law if there are certain people who are above the law? You can't. You're not really a nation of laws then. So this Donald Trump trial is almost like a trial of the United States. Because everyone knows Donald Trump is a criminal. Everyone knows it. We have to see if the United States can hold powerful people accountable. And that's the question. Can the United States hold powerful people accountable? And so far, Donald Trump has escaped accountability for a number of things. Look at that giant hole. It's disappearing. Yeah, but my frame rates suck now. Chunk. This mod eats up RAM. It just eats RAM. I've got 16 gigabytes. And look at that garbage disposal. Man, it's just going nuts. 16 gigs. Holy shit. And I remember when they told me 16 gigabytes was enough. So yeah, Donald Trump looks like he got a mole. He got a supporter on the trial, and that supporter is going to try to tank the whole thing. I mean, they may not, right? Maybe they'll go into it with an open mind, but I doubt it. You can't take your information exclusively from Donald Trump and Elon Musk and have an open mind. You can't do it. Those are both fascists, well-known fascists. Well, Donald Trump, I don't know if he's even got an ideology except for power, which is kind of makes you a fascist. So there's that one. Another thing that happened. Oh yeah, here, Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump! Yay! Look at Donald Trump! This is Donald Trump at the Playboy Mansion, right? So he's there with his daughter Ivanka. Look how he's nice and close to his daughter Ivanka. Right? Look how close. That's his wife, Melania. Look how she's like away from him. She's turned her back to him and over to this side. Right? This is back in when she's like still being a model. And who's that? That's Karen McDougal. That's Karen McDougal. She is one of the women that Donald Trump paid money to in order to keep his affair quiet. Remember, Donald Trump is on trial because he used campaign funds to keep his affairs quiet so that the people of the United States wouldn't know about what was going on before the election. So he did it in order to get the presidency in 2016. But isn't that just a great picture? He's there with one of the women he assaulted, or like he paid hush money to. He's all cozy with his daughter, and his wife has turned his back to him. Ah ha 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 ha! What a loser! So yeah. So like, wait a minute. Doesn't that? But aren't these trials? He's got like a bunch of trials going on at the same time. Aren't these expensive? How does he pay for all these lawyers? How does he do it? Like, I know he says he's a billionaire, but they just had a fraud trial, and Donald Trump asserted that he was a billionaire, but he doesn't actually have any way of proving it. and he's got this penalty to pay. He's got two penalties to pay. He's got to pay Jean Carroll like $93 million, and then he's got to pay the state of New York $146 million, or $463 million. So he's got a bunch of money to pay the state of New York and Jean Carroll, but he's not doing it. He's not paying it. and instead he got his buddy to write a bond for him, and he talked down the court from 463 million. He talked them down to 175 million. You know, there's no way you're talking down a court if your bail. Like, I can't believe he got away with it. That's what I mean when I say Donald Trump gets away with a lot of stuff. They just give it to him. Like, there's no way a regular human being, a regular person, would be able to tell a court, you know what, that's a lot of money. Why don't you just make me pay up like less than half of it. How about that? And no court would accept that for a regular person, but for Donald Trump, they accepted it. So it was reduced to $175 million. And then Donald Trump got his buddy, Knight Incorporated or something, to write a bond for it. Well, it turns out this company doesn't actually have the money. And they're based in the Cayman Islands, which has opaque regulations. So you don't know where money is coming in and out of. You have no idea. So then on Monday, another thing going on Monday, tomorrow, is that Donald Trump's bond is going to be scrutinized. They're going to see that if his $175 million bond is any good. What is that? It's a win for Donald Trump. That's a win for Donald Trump. Why? Why is that a win? Because it delayed. He was supposed to have his assets seized to pay off the amount of money he owes, but he managed to delay it by getting a fraudulent bond, and then now they have to work out the details of this fraudulent bond, giving him more time, because that's what he needs. That's what he wants is delay. So again, if this was a regular person, if this was regular people, we would not get away with this kind of thing. We would have had all our stuff taken by the government. But because it's Donald Trump, he manages to do magic, and everyone gives him every break imaginable. So it's pretty hard, right? It's pretty hard for Donald Trump to keep up the schedule of going to all these court cases. So he tends to fall asleep during his his trials. So, and the other thing is that when he falls asleep, he no longer controls his sphincter. So I've heard reports that he is constantly farting in court all the time when he falls asleep, because he's unconscious and he loses control of his sphincter. So he's farting all the time, and his lawyers can't stand it. His lawyers are right next to him going, "Oh my God, the smell!" Like, yeah, that's because Donald Trump is full of shit. But anyways. What else do I got on Donald Trump? Oh yeah. How is Donald Trump paying for all these lawyers? How's he doing it? This costs money, dude. Well, one way he's doing it is that he literally took over the Republican Party. The Republican Party was its own thing. But then Donald Trump came in and got everyone to pledge loyalty to Donald Trump. And then one of the things he did was he fired, like he's not actually in a position in the Republican Party where he can fire people, but the power that he wields over the Republicans is such that all he has to do is say something. He just has to say something, and then the Republicans will go and do it for him. Like just like his violence, right? He doesn't actually do anything. All he has to do is say something, and his followers will carry it out. So one of the things that happened was that Donald Trump said bad things about the Republican National Committee chairwoman, Ronna McDaniels. All he had to do was say bad things about her, and then because of that, she quit or got fired. One of the two. She left, and then who took the position of the Republican National Committee chairwoman? Who took that position? His daughter, Laura Trump. It's ridiculous to hear Republicans whine about Hunter Biden. When Hunter Biden has never, ever held a position of government power. Never. Whereas all of Donald Trump's kids have held positions of power in the government while he was president, and even when he's not. And they don't say anything about that. That shows you that Republicans are not serious people. They're not, their arguments are all in bad faith. They don't actually care. They just want to attack people, their enemies. So Donald Trump fired the chair of the Republican National Committee and replaced that chair with his daughter, Laura Trump. Why would he do that? Because then he controls all the donations. the Republican Party isn't a business. It relies on donations for its campaigns, and then it takes those donations and it spreads it around the Republican Party so that various Republican politicians can win their races. That's why it exists. Well, Donald Trump doesn't care about other Republicans. So he had his daughter take over the Republican National Committee so he could direct funds not to other Republicans but to his defense fund. Because Donald Trump, but first and foremost, needs to not go to prison. He can't, like, if he goes to prison before he can take power, then it won't work. He has to be able to take power before he goes to prison. So priority is to make sure he doesn't go to prison. And so what he does, and to that end, he's taken all the Republican National Committee's money and is now using it for his own interests. But isn't that illegal? You're not supposed to be able to do that. That's illegal. You can't do that. Well, Donald Trump appointed his friend to the Federal Election Commission, just like he appointed Judge Eileen Cannon. So, huge loophole. Trump appointed FEC officials, paved way for RNC to pay his legal fees. All Donald Trump had to do was install his lackeys into the Federal Election Commission, and they will bend and break the rules in favor of Donald Trump. Which is what he did, right? So before I do this, let me give credit here. This is a story from Raw Story. The author is the writer is Carl Gibson on April 20th, 2024. So, a new rule recently passed by GOP-friendly officials on the Federal Election Commission may end up being a critical lifeline for Republicans this cycle. So, 3 Republican members of the FEC appointed during former President Donald Trump's administration approved the expenditure of RNC funds on the ex-president's legal bills. It's only illegal if you don't have power. If you have power, you can make anything legal. So this means the RNC can run Trump ads that raise money for the legal proceeding account and then use those funds to pay for Trump's personal legal fees. So yeah, that's what Donald Trump did. Donald Trump fired the head of the RNC, put in his daughter. Then he had his buddies on the Federal Election Commission change the rules so that he could use RNC funds to pay for his legal bills. Ta-da! Because, yeah, rules don't apply to Donald Trump. And that's the way that his supporters like it. His supporters like the fact that Donald Trump is above the law. Now do you see why it's such a problem that one of his supporters is on the jury? Like, if his idea is, oh yeah, Donald Trump is above the law and I like that the rules don't apply to him, there's no way that juror is going to hold Donald Trump accountable. The whole reason why he's a Donald Trump follower is because Donald Trump is not accountable. So that puts into question, into doubt, the outcome of this trial. Everyone knows Donald Trump is a criminal, but Donald Trump has lots of followers who have a different value system than Americans. So these people get their news. So back to the jurors, right? So Rudolph, what's his name? Richard Murdoch, something. Rupert Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch is a Australian billionaire who has bought all the media in Great Britain, in England, the UK, and he spreads propaganda using his media empire. Remember how the UK voted to leave the European Union? Like, why would they do that? Why would they vote to leave a an economic union where they got lots of benefits. Why would they do that? Because those benefits came with restrictions on rich people, and the rich people in England didn't like it. They didn't like having these restrictions. So Rupert Murdoch, with his media empire, convinced the majority of UK people to vote to leave the European Union, and that cost them big time. Their economy is in shambles. Their currency dropped like a rock. Like, all of their services are being cut because they can't afford it, because they don't, everything costs a lot more because they left the European Union. So all these headaches. But Rupert Murdoch doesn't care because those things don't affect him. He's a billionaire. He got what he wanted. So it's a problem that Rupert Murdoch has such huge influence on people. So we got, I don't know what DM is. Fox News is Rupert Murdoch. I don't know MSNBC. I didn't know that. New York Times is Rupert Murdoch. I didn't know Google was Rupert Murdoch. The Wall Street Journal is Rupert Murdoch. New York Times, Rupert Murdoch. I think the New York Post is Rupert Murdoch. I don't think WAPO, Washington Post, that's a different billionaire. That's owned by Jeff Bezos. And WNYC, I think that's a TV station. BBC, is that owned by Rupert Murdoch? I thought that was a state broadcast. Anyways, all these people get their information from Rupert Murdoch. So that's kind of worrisome too. But really, that's not nearly as bad as that one guy who only gets his information from Donald Trump and Elon Musk. That guy is a problem. That guy's going to be a problem. You can tell already. Yeah. Okay, recently, like yesterday, Saturday, the House voted on three bills. One bill for Ukraine, one bill for what was it? I forget. It was 3 bills, and I forgot what the third bill was. But one bill was for Ukraine, and the other bill was for Israel. So, as you know, Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza. They're killing all the Palestinian people there, because they want to ethnically cleanse Gaza and steal the land, like and they're doing the same thing in the West Bank. So it's what Israel's a terrorist state. But Israel serves an important purpose for the United States in that it acts as a counterbalance, a counterweight to Iran. And the United States does not like the government of Iran. So, in order to maintain a presence in the Middle East, to threaten Iran, they're buddies with a fascist state of Israel. Israel. So the United States gives Israel lots of weapons, offensive weapons, and then Israel uses those weapons to kill Palestinian people. And why? So they can steal their land. Let me give you an example. Oh yeah. That's the third one was for funding for Taiwan. Okay, so this is like what they do with our weapons. So Israeli occupation forces bombed a house in Rafah. A pregnant woman was killed, but doctors managed to save the baby's life. So the Israelis tried to kill both the mom and this baby, but they didn't get the baby. Israelis didn't manage to kill the baby. Doctors managed to save the baby. So I know there's a lot of anti-choice people in the United States who don't actually care about babies. They speak in bad faith. They only want to control women. So to them, they're sad that Israel didn't kill this baby. They're sad. They wanted Israel to kill the baby, but Israel couldn't do it. Oh shit. Here, go back. They saved the baby. Israel didn't manage. They killed the mom, but didn't kill the baby. They saved the baby. So Republicans are like, oh, they're mad, right? Republicans want that baby to be dead. but the baby lives. So yeah, so Israel's killing pregnant women and kids and babies. Israel's a terrorist state. Israel's a terrorist state. But I think there was a vote to like 300 to like 100. The United States House of Representatives voted to give Israel more weapons, to kill more babies, right? To kill more pregnant women. That's why Israel needs the weapons to continue their ethnic cleansing. So the United States, in order to help Israel continue the genocide, voted in a huge majority to say, go on Israel, kill more people, kill more babies. That's why I can't take seriously any anti-choice people, because they're not speaking in good faith. They're purely acting to control other people. That's their whole point. They don't actually care about children. They don't actually care about babies. They just want to control women. And they will happily kill babies as long as it's as long as they're not Christian babies, I guess. But you don't even know, right? Because who knows what following that or what religion that woman was before she got blown up by Israel. She may have been Christian. A lot of Palestinians are Christian. So like you can't even say it's a religious thing. It's like it's just a hate thing. They just hate Palestinians. I don't know. So but yeah, this baby, they didn't manage to kill this baby. This kid lived. This kid survived. The mom died, but they saved the baby. Israel didn't manage to kill the baby. Israel failed to kill the kid. So the United States gave them more weapons to try again. So what does Israel do? Israel is like a terrorist state, right? So what they're doing is at night they have quadcopters, drones, fly into the refugee camps, and then using the loudspeaker they play the sounds of babies crying or the sound of women crying for help. Why would they do that? Because they're trying to lure people outside to see what's going on. And when they go outside, then the snipers can shoot them and kill them. Because Israel's a terrorist state.
يا جماعة الخير، كواد كابتر تطلق صوت أطفال الآن من مخيم انصارات زي ما انتو سامعين بالضبط. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. طبعا زي ما انتو سامعين الصوت، أي حد بيطلع. امبارح استشهدوا شاب طلع مسكين يشوف إيش الصوت في مدرسة، طبعا طلع والله قنصوه. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل.
Yeah, so what they're trying to do, what Israel's trying to do, is lure people out at night so they can snipe them and kill them.
يا جماعة الخير، كواد كابتر تطلق صوت أطفال الآن من مخيم انصارات زي ما انتو سامعين بالضبط. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل.
I don't see speakers there though. I don't know how they do it so loud.
إيش الصوت في المدرسة، طبعا طلع والله قنصوه.
أضع الساعة 1 في الليل، فجأة سمعنا مرة بتزعق في نص الشارع. الحقوني النجدة ومعها عيل صغير، يعني صوت عيل صغير بيطلب النجدة معها. الصوت كان بيطلع من باب الدار، واتكبر من 4 مرات. طلعت برضو بين الخيم وقاعدة تتزعق بنفس الحاجة. أنا بنعلم بالخيم قلنا لو واحد يطلع. حتى نظام صوت. أبو أنس الشحرور عندنا في المنطقة في راسه. عودة الطائرة المسيرة قبل الحدث من أقوات كافة
So like, is it propaganda? Maybe, but I'm more apt to believe people with no power over the people with power. And right now, Israel is the occupying force. They're the ones with all the power. They're the ones committing the genocide. They're the ones killing everyone. So yeah, I'd believe it. I'd believe that Israel is using psychological torture to attack the Palestinian people. It sounds like something Israel would do. And then, check it out. Israel began legalizing 68 settler outposts in the West Bank as part of the Smotrich plan, meaning they will become permanent, not only further legitimizing settler violence and settling occupied territory, but also showing where its priorities lie. So what does Israel do? Israel, like, there's the West Bank, right, which is supposed to be Palestinian land. But what happens is Israeli settlers show up, they squat on top of a hill, and then they attack the people the Palestinians who live there. And if the Palestinians fight back, the Israeli military comes in to support the settlers in their attack. until the people who live there, the Palestinians, run away, and then the settlers steal the land, and they make the settlement permanent, a part of Israel. That's how they steal the land. So Israel has no intention of ever settling for peace. They're literally a warring nation. They love war. They love genocide. And it's weird. Israel engages in collective punishment. They're collectively punishing the Palestinian people. And you would think, man, for an entity that claims to represent Jewish people, they sure totally ignore Jewish history. Jewish people have been subject to collective punishment for thousands of years. And now this entity called Israel that wants to claim it represents the Jewish people is doing the same crime that was done against the Jewish people for millennia. So that makes you wonder, is Israel really representing Jewish people? And the answer is no. Israel and Jewish people are not connected in any way. They're not connected in any way. So Americans, for the most part, are opposed to the genocide. They do not want to support the Israel in its genocide. So the House of Representatives doesn't represent the people. When it voted to give Israel more weapons for the genocide, it's not doing so because that's what the American people wanted. It's doing so because that's what the power wants. That's they're doing what the power wants. So American students have been protesting on university campus. One of those campuses was Columbia University. The students protested on the lawn against the genocide. And what happened was the president of the university called the police on the protesting students and had them arrested for trespassing on their own campus. What? That makes no sense. And then students at more universities announced solidarity rallies after 108 pro-Palestinian activists are arrested at Columbia. So yeah, they were just protesting and the police arrested them. They weren't causing violence. They weren't blocking anything. They weren't doing anything other than being there and protesting. And the president of the university had the students arrested and had them taken off of campus. So there's a lot of people in positions of power that are pro-genocide. There's a lot of them. And they don't necessarily represent the people of America. They represent their own interests. Dozens of activists denouncing Israel's war in Gaza remain camped out on the west lawn of Columbia University on Friday, a day after New York City police arrested more than 100 people on suspicion of criminal trespass during a pro-Palestinian demonstration. Like, they weren't doing anything and they weren't blocking anything, but because the message, they didn't like them, because the university president didn't like the message, the university had the government stop them. In other words, the university president took away their First Amendment rights. Now, students at several other universities are planning rallies in solidarity with the Columbia University demonstrators. The University of North Carolina Students for Justice in Palestine is holding a solidarity rally Friday. The Boston University Students for Justice in Palestine announced an emergency rally. The Students for Justice in Palestine at the Ohio State University announced an emergency protest supporting Gaza Solidarity encampment. And the Harvard College Palestinian Solidarity Committee announced a student walkout in solidarity with steadfast Columbia students. Demonstrators at Columbia were peacefully protesting for divestment from genocide, said one of the organizers. At least 33,000 Palestinians have been killed since Israel's war against the Palestinian people. Like, this has nothing to do with Hamas. Israel says Hamas in order to distract you from the fact that they're killing babies and pregnant women. Don't get distracted by the words of Israel. Israel doesn't speak in good faith. They're a fascist terrorist state, so you can't believe what they say. And then this morning? Israel strikes on southern Gaza city of Rafah, kills 22, mostly children, as U.S. advances package. So it's not like we don't know. Everyone knows Israel's committing a genocide, and the American people are against it. But the House of Representatives doesn't represent the American people. They represent the rich and powerful, I guess. Because, I mean, who wants this? It's not the regular American people that want the genocide. Who wants the genocide? I know there's a lobbying group like AIPAC, which is like a Israeli lobbying group that's really powerful in the United States, and it pulls a lot of weight, and they may have threatened the politicians into going along with it. So it could be that Israel has a really strong lobbying group, more powerful than the American people. The Israeli lobby, I guess, is more powerful than the American people, I guess. So that's how come they can get the government to do what they want. Remember when Biden told Bibi Netanyahu way back in like October, November? Remember when he said weeks, not months? Man, we're going on like 6 months now. Who's the one with the power? It's not Biden. Biden has to do what Bibi Netanyahu wants. And if Bibi Netanyahu wants a war with Iran, he's going to get it. Remember when Israel tried to provoke a war with Iran by bombing their embassy in another country? Well, so Iran responded to that. And then Israel said, oh, we have to respond to your response. So, like, it's so dumb, dude. This tit for tat thing is bullshit. It's going to end up in a war that drags in the United States. And Biden is happy to go along with it. Our House, our representatives, Democrat and Republican alike, are happy to go along with a new war in the Middle East to commit genocide. As if the last time we went in the Middle East wasn't enough. Like, it's like they all forgot Iraq or something. Chunk. This is the garbage, just the garbage going nuts. It's like constantly maxed out. I can't, like, there it goes. So look at its thread pool tasks. Oh, it's gone. The thread pool tasks. 16,000. 16,000 threads it needs to finish off before anything happens. And my 16 gigs of RAM is being constantly filled up because there's just so much data. Look at those two Endermen up there. Enderman, two of them. Ooh, and there's a zombie too, and he's burning! 3 Endermen, look at that, 3 Endermen. Man. Anyways. So, okay, the other thing that happened yesterday was the House passed aid for Ukraine. Which is good, right? That's the good thing. That's what the people want. People want to help Ukraine to defend itself against Russian aggression, the Russian invasion. That the people want that. However, Republicans, mostly the majority of Republicans, are on Team Russia. They want Russia to be successful in its invasion of Ukraine. Why? I don't know. Maybe they're getting kickbacks from Russia. I don't know why they would support Russia, but they do. The majority of Republicans support Russia. So they had a vote. Mike Johnson had a vote on aid to Ukraine, and the motion passed. However, the way it passed was like this. If you look here, the majority of Republicans oppose sending aid to Ukraine. In other words, the majority of Republicans are pro-Russia. They want Russia to defeat Ukraine. The majority of Republicans. Like, yeah, some of them were voted to help Ukraine, but the majority of Republicans are opposed to Ukraine and they are pro-Russia. And all the Democrats want to support Ukraine. So so that gives you a nice clue again about where these parties stand. The majority of Republicans are standing with a fascist state. I mean, the majority of Democrats also stand with the fascist state by supporting Israel, but at least they don't support Russia. I mean, my representative. My own representative from Oregon voted for the Israeli package, and the way she justified it was saying, "Oh, because it contains aid for the Palestinian people." You know what the best aid for the Palestinian people would be? To not drop bombs on them. That would be the best aid. Like, I don't care what kind of aid. I don't care what kind of aid you're gonna send Palestinian people. The best aid would have been to not let Israel have the bomb that killed this baby's mom. That mom should have lived and given birth to this baby normally, without trauma. Instead, the baby was born in the worst way possible. And my representative said it was okay because, oh, she's sending aid to them. That's not a good reason to vote for aid for weapons to Israel. Israel is a terrorist state. They use those weapons to kill pregnant women. All right. Another thing going on. China. So here in the United States, Oregon passed a law. The voters of Oregon passed a law to decriminalize drug use, because for like over 100 years, the United States has treated drug use as a criminal problem rather than a health problem. So that made cartels very, very powerful. It gave all the money to cartels, and they criminalized, and of course, the application of the drug laws is racist because black people are over-policed as it is. So all that did was give the United States the largest prison population in the world, and it empowered drug cartels to threaten the state of Mexico and to export its violence all over the place. So that's what the United States has done. Oregon, in order to get away from that, the voters of Oregon passed a law to decriminalize drug use and to treat it more as a health problem instead of a criminal problem. They treat it as a health problem. Just like the way Portugal did. Portugal did the same thing, and their drug use went down. The number of people who died of overdose went down. Like, they spent less money. It was just all around a success. So the people of Oregon, like, hey, let's do the same thing. Well, what ended up happening was there was a nationwide spike in fentanyl death overdose. And so the drug warriors in the United States who want to criminalize drug use, they jumped on that, and they blamed Oregon's law, Measure 110, and said, oh, the reason why the entire United States is having this fentanyl crisis is because Oregon passed this law to decriminalize drugs. And then our state representatives then passed a law to overturn the will of the people and to recriminalize drug use. They said, we don't care what you want, we're going to recriminalize drug use. Well, turns out it had nothing to do with Measure 110 at all. It had nothing to do with decriminalization. What is happening is China is funding the fentanyl crisis in the United States. It's like a rehash of the Opium Wars. The Opium Wars is when China outlawed opium, and then Great Britain was making a lot of money from selling opium. So they forced China to with its military, they forced China to keep opium legal so that they could keep all the Chinese people addicted to opium. And and it sucked for China. It sucked for them. But now they're doing it to the United States. So China is funding the U.S. fentanyl crisis. House panel says a new report. The House Select Committee on China has released a report accusing the Chinese government of playing a significant role in the United States fentanyl crisis by subsidizing the export of essential materials used for the manufacture of the drug. The report suggests the Chinese government provides financial incentives for companies to produce and export fentanyl-related substances to the U.S. Lawmakers urge stronger sanctions and international cooperation to address the trafficking of fentanyl components from China. Despite high-level talks between the United States and China, skepticism remains about China's commitment to controlling its role in the fentanyl trade. So, yeah, guys, the Oregon state government killed the Measure 110 voted by the people of Oregon because China didn't like it. So in order to help out China, the Oregon government re-criminalized drug use. Okay. Yeah, chunk, man. This is an alpha, right? I guess a new version comes out tomorrow, but that's not today. And I don't even remember how I installed this. It was such a complicated process. Oh man. Okay, so remember there was three bills that the House of Representatives voted on. One was for aid to Israel, one was to aid to Ukraine, and one was aid to Taiwan. So we haven't talked a lot about Taiwan, but Taiwan's pretty important. Now, this is a snippet from Empty Wheel, who's a great source of information. Empty Wheel says, and she makes a very good observation. Yeah, the Ukraine vote will be quite interesting in the House because for a lot of Republicans, they really do get it. Like the argument that delivering Ukraine to Putin is itself a problem, but it's also a problem because it'll make China more ambitious with Taiwan. That's true. If you sign up to Trump's decision of delivering Ukraine to Putin, you're basically signing the death knell on what's left of American hegemony in the world. And Republicans like to think of themselves as powerful. They just can't separate themselves from Donald Trump. So in other words, if the United States delivers Ukraine, if the Republicans deliver Ukraine to Russia, that means that gives China the go-ahead. That tells China, you know what? If you attack Taiwan, the United States won't actually do anything. Republicans will stop the United States from helping Taiwan, just like the Republicans stopped the United States from helping Ukraine. So on one hand, like, Republicans really want to help Putin, but on the other hand, they don't want to look like they don't want to lose the power that the United States has. The United States hegemony is like the idea that what you say goes. And if the United States gives up Ukraine to Russia, then it's gonna do the same thing to Taiwan. So yeah, so Republicans are kind of in a bind. Even given that information, the majority of Republicans want to end American rule or leadership in the world. They want to say that American words don't really matter. But that's Republicans, right? Republicans don't care about the United States, they care about themselves. I mean, it's not me saying it, right? I'm showing you this information to show that it's not me saying these things. It's them. They're the ones who say it. All I'm doing is giving you the information so that you can see what they're saying. They're the ones that are saying it, not me. Don't kill the messenger. So when the passage of the Ukraine Ukraine aid passed, when it passed, a bunch of representatives were waving Ukrainian flags, and that got the pro-Putin people really upset. The Putin Republicans. The Putin Republicans did not like that representatives were celebrating by waving the Ukrainian flag. So now they want to pass a bill. The Putin Republicans want to pass a bill saying that you cannot wave the flag of a foreign country on the House floor, which is weird. That's weird. They didn't care about these flags being, there's not a law that's saying you can't wave these flags, an upside down American flag, a Confederate flag, a Trump flag. They don't have a law against that. Even though these people tried to overthrow the American government, no, their only concern is with the flag of a country that Putin is trying to invade, because they're Putin Republicans, the Putin Republicans. All right, I got two more things. Number one, first of all, we talk about a lot about race is a major issue in the United States. Like everyone, like the older people want to say, "Oh, I'm colorblind. I don't see race." That's bullshit. Like, because if they don't see race, their institutions see race, and it's used to enact systemic racism. And they claim innocence by saying, "Oh, I can't see race." Well, your system sees race for sure. And then they do polls, right? And then these polls come out, and people take information and draw assumptions and conclusions from the results of these polls. But it belies the demographic reality of the United States. So this chart shows you this chart shows you the average age of each race in the United States. And if you look here, white people, the majority of white people are boomers. And as you know, boomers are very conservative. Majority of them are Trump. Majority of boomers are Trump supporters, and they're a huge number. They're a huge number. And then you get to and if you look at all the other races, Hispanics, blacks, Asians, multiracial. I don't know what NHPI is. Pacific Islander, I think. Non-Hawaiian Pacific Islander? I don't know. And then what's AIAN? I don't know. American Indian? American Native? I don't know. But if you so the average age of the most common age for Hispanic is 11 years old. The most common age for black people is 27 years old. The most common age for Asian people is 29 years old. The most common age for multiracial people like me is 3 years old. But for white people, the average age is 58 years old. So who are the people who are represented in polls? The people who will answer their phone and complete a poll. So young people generally don't answer phone polls or whatever. But retired white people sure do. So when you see polls, a lot of them are skewed toward older white people. And older white people tend to be pro-Trump, tend to be conservative, pro-fascist. So you can't trust what polls say all the time. There's a caveat there. That I mean, yeah, the majority of people in the United States are white, and they tend to be older. But that's not representative of all Americans. Not at all. I mean, I think maybe that's why the House of Representatives voted to help Israel, because its voters tend to be older white people who are, oh shit, there it goes. Ah, what's going on, man? Too much garbage, I can't handle it. Look at, now I've got 19,000. Maybe I should just stop moving and let it do its thing. A buffer of 19,000. Alright, well, yeah, the last thing I'm going to show is a funny. Ha 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 ha. I love memes. Memes are hilarious. You can use them in so many different ways. So, this is funny because Schrodinger's cat. Do you know the story about Schrodinger's cat? It's a thought experiment to show quantum superposition. So, in quantum superposition, like quantum mechanics, quantum physics doesn't work the same way that Newtonian physics work. Like up here, at this level, we all know Newtonian physics, and it works pretty good in explaining stuff. Like it's really good, right? But once you start getting into like bigger things, it doesn't work so good anymore. You get into things like time dilation and all sorts of other stuff. So time dilation is real, and we know it because all our GPS satellites flying around Earth have to be like tweaked in order to give accurate measures because of time dilation. The GPS satellite is moving at thousands and thousands of miles per second compared to like us not moving at all. So its time is slower than our time. So when it makes calculations, it has to account for that time dilation effect. Same thing with the quantum realm. In the quantum realm, we have there's the idea of superposition, where a particle can have two opposing states at the same time, two opposite states at the same time, in the same place. So how can you do that? What's that like? It's quantum mechanics. I don't know. But the thought experiment was done by this guy named Schrodinger, and his idea is like this. He said, imagine you have a box, and this box is impenetrable. Nothing can go in or out of the box. Nothing goes in or out of the box. Inside the box, you have a cat just chilling there, just a cat. You put a cat in there. And with the cat is a vial of cyanide. And it's attached to a mechanism that has a 50-50 chance of activating and breaking the vial. If the vial is broken, the cat inside will die because of cyanide, right? And if it's not broken, the cat will live. So this has all been done, right? So we're outside now, and we're looking at this black box, this box where nothing gets in and out of. And the time has passed to whether or not the machine either broke the vial or it didn't break the vial. So we're asking the question, well, is the cat dead or is the cat alive? And Schrodinger says, it's both! It's both dead and alive at the same time. The way we can do that is because it's in a state of superposition. No information goes in or out. Nothing. Nothing goes in or out. So at that moment, the cat is both dead and alive. The both possibilities, both wave, because they're essentially a bunch of waves. Both waveforms exist at the same time in the same place. It's not until you crack open the box and you actually observe it that does the wave function collapses into just one thing. Only after you observe it does it collapse into one thing. As long as you don't observe it, it's both things at the same time. So that's the joke, right? Schrodinger's cat is both dead and alive. Ha ha ha. All right. Well, that'll do it for me for this week. Like I said, we're getting into some crazy stuff here. Donald Trump is becoming more and more unhinged as he loses more and more power moving forward, because this trial is just sapping his strength. It makes him look real bad. He's not able to control the narrative anymore, and so it makes him look bad. Of course, the juror number 2 could throw a wrench in this whole thing because he's a mole. But we'll have to wait and see what goes on. Okay, until next time, America. Peace. Pogo Kiddo out. Stop.